Howdy folks, I'm here today with a video to chat with you about research topics and research proposals. This is going to be kind of kicking us off in terms of where we're going with some extended research. So first thing I want you to do is check out mrrestad.com. So I'll kind of navigate here and show you what I want you to be looking at. So first one is, once you're on my landing page, scroll on down to this research projects. You might just click on that initially. This will give you kind of an overview of, hey, here's what we're working on for our research project. Here are the skills that we're working on. And then if you scroll down here, there's two links that you could go to, or additionally, you can just navigate to those right here. So I'll point you to choosing a topic first. And as you're choosing a topic, make sure you're reading this overview. Make sure you're understanding what your topic is going to be and what your task is going to be. And read these criteria for picking an issue. I've even got some examples of here's some great topics that I've had students write successful papers about. So start there with your selection of a research topic. And then once you have one, once you think you have one, we're going to go through what's called a feasibility study. I used to live by an architect and chat with him all the time about his projects, and he was always talking about feasibility studies. And I asked him, what do you mean by feasibility studies? And he explained it to me this way. It's like, okay, we've got this old building that a company or an organization or a school wants to rebuild, right? They want to renovate it. And here's what they want to do. What his job is to go in and take a look at the existing infrastructure and compare that with what they want it to look like and see, are things going to match up, right? Can this building actually sustain what we're going to do to it? Or is it going to fall apart as we're doing it? How much money is it going to cost? Is that going to be too much to fix it up the way that our client wants it? And so I want you to approach research projects the same way. As you're choosing something, make sure you have something that interests you, right? You're going to spend 6 weeks on this, 7 weeks, 8 weeks maybe. It better be something that you're passionate about. And it also better be something that fits those criteria, where you better be able to find sources, both on our online database and on the general interwebs, as well as something that has two perspectives. That's one of the criteria if you're reading mrrestad.com that we're talking about. So the two feasibility studies that we're going to get to before we even finalize our proposal are going to be as follows. Oh, and very briefly, I do have a couple topics that are banned that we just can't do. First one is abortion. Since my research paper asks us to accurately look at two sides of an issue, in the 5 years that I've allowed students to do this topic, I've never had one who can set their own personal beliefs aside and accurately represent the other perspective. So if you're pro-life or pro-choice, people are usually too emotionally connected to that one to be able to set their beliefs aside. Not that you shouldn't have opinions about abortion. You definitely should. But remember, our topic is not just about, can I defend what I believe? It's, can I look at multiple perspectives in an objective fashion? So that one's out. Gun control's out because it's my example paper, as you'll see. And in the past, I've let students use it and they just end up stealing my sources. So you got to go out and find your own sources. And then the last one is anything drug or alcohol related. I've received those phone calls of hey, Mr. Restad, why is Jimmy doing a weed paper in your class? And I'm like, sorry. That's a tough calls for me to field about parents. So no drugs, no alcohol. But everything else is pretty much on the table. So once you have a topic chosen, first feasibility study is, am I interested enough to make this work? And so right now, I want you to pause this video, take your topic, and write for 8 minutes, nonstop, about your topic. Do it. Go through these questions. Did you do it? Did you pause for that full 8 minutes? Well, if you did, and you weren't able to write about your topic and stay interested in your topic for 8 minutes, I'm going to guess that there's an extremely low percentage chance that you are going to stay interested in your topic for 6 to 8 weeks, right? So maybe keep going back to that drawing board, look at some of those resources that I have linked on mrrestad.com to come up with ideas of what you want to do to generate ideas for your research project. Second feasibility study, is you got to find at least 2 sources, like right now. Go on the general internets or access some of those research databases where I have some videos posted on mresta.com about how to get in and use those. And make sure you can find information representing both sides of your topic. And this is where you might have to start narrowing down your topic. So say I'm really interested in pollution, right? And we got to like lower our pollution in the world. Cool. I agree with that. I don't think anyone is going to disagree with that. But no one is going to argue on the internet that we should increase pollution. So you might need to get a little bit more narrow in your research topic to say, well, what if I just look at this idea of carbon credits? Like, I don't know much about carbon credits, but I know that's a way that people are trying to limit the pollution that some companies and corporations are releasing carbon into the atmosphere. Maybe that's a little bit more controversial because some people might argue for or against this idea of carbon credits. So make sure your research topic has 2 sides to it. So again, pause this video right now and go look. Go look on our databases or go look on the general internet to see what you can find. If you can't find 2 sources, 1 for either side, probably got to pick a different topic. All right. And then lastly, in terms of like finalizing our research proposal, is you're going to have to build me a research question. And research questions are kind of, there's 4 criteria really that you're trying to tick off these boxes for. And you may not write a perfect research question in your first idea, but what you're going for is a clear question that's easily understood, a focus question that's narrow enough to explore thoroughly in 4 to 8 pages. Like, so for example, I probably couldn't tackle the entire issue of race or gender in 4 pages. Like, people have written books and volumes about that idea. I'm going to need to get a lot more narrow in my focus to ask a question specifically maybe about one issue of race. Like maybe take a look at affirmative action, or one issue of gender equality. Like maybe take a look at, should the government do more to decrease the wage gap? It needs to be complex. In other words, you can't answer this question with a simple yes or no answer, but rather it's going to require some synthesis and analysis and looking at a lot of different sources and perspectives. And lastly, again, this goes back to the idea that it has to have 2 perspectives. It needs to be arguable. The answers have to be open to debate. And you're going to be educating yourselves to both sides, or maybe even 3 sides of a debate. So let's look at some examples. So the topic that I'm really interested in, I'm a teacher. I love thinking about educational issues, and one of them is homework. So if I were to come up with a research question that was based on homework, I might come up with something like this. So is homework an effective way to increase student academic learning and success in high school? That is clear, it's focused, it's complex, and it's definitely arguable. Some people might say yes, some people might say no, and I'm betting I can go out on the internet and find some sources to say homework's great, and other sources that say homework's terrible, and try to dig through the research of that issue. Or I could even broaden it just a little bit, and this might be a little too broad. What effect does homework have on learning? That's a little bit more open-ended. Again, arguable. It's focused, it's clear. It's maybe not as complex or focused. So as I was doing my research, I might have to go through and fix this, because questions might change as you do more research. New things might come to light. That's the beauty of research and educating yourself on a topic, is your perspective, your understanding of it gets to change. So whatever you pick as a research topic now, know that that may change as you go through your data gathering process. All right. Good luck in putting together your proposals. Be sure to holler at me with any questions and use those resources that I have posted on mresta.com. Good luck, folks.